Hello and welcome to the Glazer Nation podcast. My guest this week is Martin Frady. Martin is a glazer for Alpha Glass in Atlanta, Georgia. For all the complaints and concerns in the industry about finding young people that want to work or being able to retain talented installers, there are groups of young people that are motivated and are doing great things, and Martin is one of them. Martin and I talked about that, about the lack of young glazers. We also talked about the subcontractor, general contractor relationship and what it meant to him to become a father. I had a great time chatting with Martin, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. The Glazer Nation podcast is brought to you by Glazer Nation. You can check out all their offerings at glazernation.com. And the podcast is also brought to you by Glass Build.
Business and livelihood by attending the biggest industry event of the year, Glass Build America. Join your peers, prospects, and competitors in Atlanta October 31st through November 2nd for the ultimate business building and networking event, Glass Build America. Learn more and register at glassbuild.com. That's glassbuild.com. Register for free using promo code POD.
What's been the biggest change to your life with your daughter?
As a father, just doing it. One thing I see a lot in this country now is not just and I know this is a glass podcast, but there's a lot of parents don't step up and want to be fathers or mothers to their children. And, I didn't want that to be me. So, I made adequate changes to my life to make sure I would be there for her 100%. She's made me into the man I am today, and I'm not going to stop.
Yeah, it is a glass podcast, but if anyone's watched the last few episodes, I've been going pretty far out of my way to talk about anything but glass.
Yeah.
We will talk about glass, but that's important. And that's probably an important message for young tradespeople too. Not to stereotype, but any young person, but tradespeople, I would say in particular, and that might be who's listening to this. It's important, and you can harness that into making yourself a better person.
Right, 100%. Because you wake up in the morning and you think about your children, and how you can try to better their education by giving them a better, life at home, or, just being that good male role model that they need to take all that and to become somebody successful. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think a lot of people maybe try to put off children. I want to achieve this in my life, or I want to do this first. And, now being a father, I would probably give that person the advice of go ahead and have the kids, go ahead and have them, because they are what are going to motivate you to do that thing you want to do.
Right.
They're the one that's going to motivate you to start that business or to work those extra hours. So,
100%. More money, that means the better that you can, try to provide for them. That's at the end of the day, that's what that's what it's about. I'm a glazer, but at the end of the day, the first thing I am is a father.
Yeah, that's important. So, you are a glazer. We can.
Yes, sir. Everybody tells me I am. I consider myself. I take pride in it.
And with Alpha Glass, we had Andrew Leopard. He was a nominee for Glazer of the Year. I actually think
he got Atlanta Glazer of the Year.
Okay.
Yeah, he's Atlanta's Glazer of the Year. Yeah, he broke everybody off into their own section. So, personally, I kind of think that's what's wrong with the world, is everybody gets a little ribbon for all places when there should have just been one winner. But, who am I?
Yeah. I'll let you talk to Matt Day about that one. Bob Lentz was the number one winner for me. But I did enjoy talking to Andrew. And one thing that we asked all the nominees that I want to ask you is, how would you define a glazer?
I haven't been doing this long. I just hit my 7-year mark, straight in the glass trade, and I haven't looked back. And, it's I see some new guys that are in the trade 6 months run around calling themselves glazers, but all they know how to do is level a frame or set some glass. It's much more than that. A true glazer has to be well-rounded. You have to be able to work with aluminum and steel, metal, and also glass. You have to be able to cut glass, sand it down. If your opening's off a little bit, you have to make it work. and just, and then also we do a lot of electrical stuff too, panic doors, security systems, it all runs in together. Sometimes high voltage guys have to run wires into our frames so their key cards can work. And that's 3 different trades that I'm having to do. There's a lot more involved than just leveling off frames and setting glass at the end of the day,
Would you say that glass is the best trade?
One of them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the sexiest part of the building, right?
I would say so. And one thing about it is that we're not advertised as much as, say, welders or, other trades that have all this publicity about, oh, we make all this money, we live a certain lifestyle. We live that same lifestyle and make that same money. We're just not as advertised as it. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot more welders than there are glass guys.
That's where I was going with that is, we bring this up a lot on that show is everybody knows plumber, carpenter, mason, right? Those are all words that, your average 18-year-old considering the trades knows. So how do we get more young men that are considering trades to know about them?
It's marketing, social media. If we present that type of lifestyle, then it'll get more attention. Everybody knows a welder. Everybody knows a guy that is wiring up buildings. You say the word glazer to somebody, half the people don't even know what you're talking about. This one person thought I worked at a donut shop when I said glazer. So I
one of the top 3. I think maybe the 4th hit is maybe actually like an aluminum fenestration manufacturer, but the first 3 are donuts.
It's just, but that's also another problem is finding the labor. Every company is having such a hard time finding young guys that want to get into the trade. I know more guys that do what I do in the field every day that are above almost 40 years old and up. Very rarely do I see anybody on the 35 side and down.
I want to touch on a couple things you said. The marketing, social media. The last year we had 2 hurricanes come through Florida here, and I specifically remember how much my social media was flooded with stuff about the linemen. And the linemen were these dudes that they were coming from all over the United States. They were coming down here. They were going to do hard work. They were going to get paid a ton. And then there were all this social media stuff about the women, right? Like the women were like, oh my God, the linemen are coming, right? And it's like the wives.
I'm talking about all that.
Right? So like,
right. Yeah.
That I agree with you 100%. Like that portrayal to a young man deciding what he wants to do, I think is super influential.
Right. They see linemen and they're like, hey, that's cool. Let's go do that. They're not putting the spotlight on us. And that's going to be one of the problems that we face in the future for sure.
Yeah. I think we can. It's just some people who felt need to do it is make content that's equivalent to that lineman stuff. The guy, he's up there, it's dangerous, he's rugged, he's making a ton of money, chicks want to be with him. The other side of the equation, though, the money side, I think is important too. And we talked about that with Ty Clem, who was talking about starting guys out at a reasonable wage. And I think there's a lot of glass shops that probably do that, but there's some glass shops that maybe don't. And, that might become unattractive to that person when they can go, you don't have Buc-ee's in Georgia, right?
Actually, they just put one over near LaGrange. LaGrange or Carrollton.
That's always my example. And I know like Amazon are competitive, but like when you fill up your gas at Buc-ee's, there's a sign right on the pump that says what they pay each position per hour.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that.
Some of it's real competitive. And if you're not going to pay your guys that or more, they're going to go work in the air conditioning.
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you right now, McDonald's is starting people out at $15, $17 an hour. Whenever I first started, I was making $12 an hour, but that's just the times have changed since, but for somebody fresh out of high school, they see somebody's offering 17 and they see the glass industry, this one company's only offering 17, where they don't go, the hard job or the easy job, making the same money.
Yeah. Now, if you have so much content produced romanticizing the industry, that evens the playing field a little bit. But if you're talking McDonald's 17 and starting entry level, I'll call him a helper, right?
Yeah, apprentice.
That guy's 13 an hour, 14 an hour. That content doesn't matter. They're going to go work in the air conditioning and have unlimited.
Right. Yep. 100%.
Speaking of young glazers, you do get them. You obviously, we won't call them glazers, right? We'll call them helpers, installers, whatever you want to call them.
Apprentices. I call them apprentices.
You get a new young guy. Alpha Glass hires them. They send them out on your job site. What's your kind of protocol or, habits of training that new person?
It depends where we are on the job. It depends if we're starting the job, if we're right in the middle of the job, or towards the back end. A lot of what we do is detail work. And if you're brand new, I'm not going to put you on something that requires that amount of detail. If you just came from flipping burgers, it really just depends. Most new guys, we get them, set blocks. They'll put our set blocks in. They'll go to the truck, get our tools, get our shims, run some rubber. We're going to teach you how to run rubber. It better be 1 inch, 2 inches longer than the frame. I try to teach guys right, and I don't like to hide things from guys. One thing I will say, John, is being young and dealing with all these 40, 50-year-old glazers that have been doing it for 20 years, they hide secrets from you. They don't want you to know what they know, because then they look at you as a threat. And I'm not like that with any of the new guys. It depends who it is.
That's, I don't know, man. I think you'd have to be, in my opinion, relatively bad at your job if you're worried about someone stealing it that just started.
Well, not for say, stealing it, but just as I have pursued this career, there's some people that don't want to teach you what they know. They would rather you do all the other small grunt work than actually learn the trade. Now, that could run some young guys off as all that, treating them like crap and whatever. I get it. You're supposed to, I don't know the exact word, but work them into it. Right, exactly. But a lot of that goes into it too. When you're separated by 3 generations, there's a lot of differences between whenever I was in my 20s versus somebody that's 30 years older than me in their 20s,
Yeah. But, and I can see, you got a glass shop that maybe has 8 people, right? And let's say they spread those 8 people out normally over 3, 4, 5 projects. Maybe you work on this project Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they need you here Thursday, Friday, something like that, right? Now, let's say one of those projects is prevailing wage, right? Like most of the guys want to work that job because it pays higher hourly. So I could see why there'd be some competition. To me, it's a bit of a personality thing, because you're going to have other industries too. You're going to have people that don't want to help. Even though, like, I would argue that helping those people is going to help you in turn, right? You're going to be able to do a better job. Maybe you're going to struggle less. Maybe they're going to put more effort in. Maybe there's future opportunities. Maybe that young person starts their own company and they remember you as that, trusted veteran that helped them learn. And there's an opportunity for you there. I don't like not helping people to be. I understand why people might do it.
Yeah, and one thing I also focus on is my old boss, Joanna. He taught me is learning the next step. I like to watch and see if you pick up to what the next step is. I'm an installer. I'm out in the field every single day. So for me, it's repetition install. That's what I do. And if I kick back and I see one new guy is learning the next step, okay, he has the shims. Now he's grabbing the right screw, the right plug after he hammer drills into the concrete. versus another guy that's just standing there with his arms crossed. You really don't want it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about learning the next step. The want to is also another thing. Whether, you know, I've put curtain wall in while wearing ponchos. Okay, up on a 2-story lift, wearing ponchos, installing curtain wall. You know, the only weather that matters is whether you want it or not. At the end of the day, that's it. And it's hard. It's getting harder to find guys that have that attitude. Younger guys. It's harder to find the younger guys with that mentality.
You could go back a little bit to what you said off the top about being a father and being there. And I think that's important to teach kids how to weather that storm, how to be strong, how to want it. You know, we had a learning experience with that football league my boys were in this summer. Is my older boy was kind of dragging ass, and he wasn't getting played a lot. And he got upset about it because he's a pretty good baseball player. So to go to football where he all of a sudden was the worst kid on the team, you know, I had to talk with him, and I'm like, dude, I'm watching you. You are the last kid to the huddle every time. On the sideline, you're not paying attention. And he changed his attitude. He started hustling to the huddle. And on the sideline, he started watching the game and putting his hand up every time the coach was looking for people to go in. And his playing time nearly doubled, and he started having fun. And just
Right.
small lessons like that.
It's all about that want to, brother. If you got that want to, there is nothing that can hold you back in life.
Yeah,
100%.
He still was not a good player for the team.
Right, but he's showing initiative that he wants to be better. You know.
I'm not gonna dog on him. It was his first time playing football, and if he wanted to, he could get better at it. But I think we established that he's a baseball player this summer.
Right.
There's tough kids and there's baseball players.
And I'll tell you what, the Braves have been killing it this year.
Yeah, we're Phillies fans in this house, so we will.
Oh my God.
We will see y'all in the playoffs.
One of my coworkers is a Mets fan, and I've been giving him hell all week.
My neighbor's a Mets fan. He actually had to blow up Mr. Met in his battery for like the first month and a half of the season.
Yeah.
And then I told him to put it in storage, which it looks like he did.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Atlanta, born and raised, so I got to go with my Braves.
Yeah, no, they're a hell of a team. Acuna is a hell of a player. They did not hit out of him when they faced the Phillies in the playoffs last year, did they?
I'm not 100% sure on that.
I don't remember. The Phillies were on one last year. I would love to see them do it this year again. My kids get real excited about it, which makes it real fun.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
We can't sit and watch a whole game, but they've been trying to watch some of the Little League World Series, and that's been super fun for them to watch like actual kids competing with like tons of fans there. It's pretty wild. Back to glass, if you don't mind.
Yep.
You are a lead glazer. You are leading men on the job site, which means you have to interact with the general contractor from time to time. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I have to deal with top people, GCs, everybody.
Do you have any specific strategies for dealing with general contractors?
So I make it my mission to get along with the general contractors. Because at the end of the day, we have to be able to close our buildings in. And whether it's, you know, the architect's fault, the engineer's fault, whoever, you know, built the building's fault, GC's not paying attention, we mismeasured, you know, we all have to work together to get the end result.
Yeah. People make mistakes, and we need to be reasonable with each other. What's an example of something you might do to, you know, work with that general contractor? You said you wanted to be friends with the contractor. You wanted to have a good relationship with them. What's something you might do to get there?
Just be respectful. You know, I'm not coming on the job as a young punk, you know, that might get perceptive of myself, you know. Just being respectful, you know, and work with them, you know, show them that we came here to finish the job, get our work in. And, you know, it's all about carrying yourself. If you present yourself well, 9 out of 10 times, you're going to get treated as such.
Now, what about a GC that maybe starts to take advantage of that?
It depends on the situation, you know. I'll be quick to call my project manager and let them know about the situation, you know, whether the general contractor's having a bad day or blase. But you don't need to be disrespectful to nobody that's just trying to do their job, you know?
Yeah.
And I do feel like sometimes if a GC has a bad day or something, he might come to work and take it out on the guys that he has there or whatever. You know, but it's just mutual respect, you know? I respect you, you respect me, and we'll get along great.
I think it's a super challenging job. I think being a lead glazer is a super challenging job. I think being a project manager is a super challenging job. The thing with the general contractor and the project manager in specific is they're responsible for so much that they don't really have direct control of. And having been a project manager for a glass shop before, it's frustrating, right? So that general contractor, maybe they've got these deadlines, they've got these schedules, and then maybe it's not even your fault, right? Like maybe the glass was ordered incorrectly, or maybe it was broken in transit, whatever.
A lot of times it's manufacturer error too.
Yeah, it's absolutely possible. The manufacturer can make mistakes, the glass shop can make
Yes, they do.
GC can make mistakes.
Yep.
Everybody can make mistakes.
One mistake. Yeah, it ruins everybody's day.
Yeah, when it's out of that project manager's control, like how they're able to deal with that, I think is a really big show of character on their part.
Right.
And I don't even think I was very good at it as a project manager, but when I see project managers or GCs that handle that well, I have a lot of respect for those people. And the next time they need something, trust me, I'm there and I'm more receptive.
Right. It's all about that mutual respect.
100%. And
100%.
Back in the, I'll show my age a little, back when I installed, 20 years ago, 18 years ago, the GCs that I worked with, that me and my father worked with, I feel it was very a little, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. You know, we made a mistake. Can you do this? And then, you know, later they made a mistake, and, you know, we kind of remember how they worked with us, and that's important. And, the GC that just wants to try and shove it down your throat, that guy is not going to get a receptive response from you next time.
Right, exactly. Because if you don't respect me, we're not going to respect you. It's very, very easy. You know, and that's one of the things about being a glass guy is, you know, they'll be friendly when they need something from you, but whenever it's out of your control or reach, they just want to be ugly, and I don't like that.
Yeah, nobody does, and that can go way beyond the glass industry, right? That's everywhere.
That's everything, and that's everything. Yeah,
we're talking about very basic human responsibilities.
You know, John, and I'm on a job site Monday through Saturday every week, and very rarely do I get talked to bad, or do I, you know, do I have an issue or conflict with anybody on a job? You know, it's all about just being respectful. That's all it is.
That's good. Now, you did not start glass out of high school. You worked road crew.
Yeah, I worked a little bit around everywhere. You know, right out of high school, I didn't want to go to school. I kind of regret it, but at the same time, I don't, because, you know, I have a good sense of common sense. You know.
Yeah, I don't think that's it you could regret. If you ever wanted to go to school, there's still plenty of time, dude. You're 27.
I'm currently looking into some things. I have wheels in motion. So
I wanted to go to school. I could still go to school, man. You go to school at 50, 60 years old, man. Actually, I think my wife's mom is going to school. She's like 64. She's going to school for some, I don't even remember what it is, but like, there's no financial incentive. She's just going for fun. I want to ask how you got from all that to glass. Like, what introduced you to glass?
Oh, man. So I had a friend whose husband, I got told he was installing windows. I was in and out of jobs. And then I saw a Facebook post from Dead on Glass here in Atlanta, Georgia, Newton, Georgia. And I sent Joe a message. He didn't know me. I didn't know him. And he asked me if I wanted to work the following day, and I told him I could work the next day. Now, this is at like 10 o'clock at night. I'm talking to him. So I drove to his house. I was at his house at 5 o'clock in the morning. Met him, got my work truck. Yeah, I started out at $12 an hour picking up trash. You know, that didn't last very long, but I just showed the initiative that I was there to work, you know, whatever it took. And if I knew back then that that would have started into what I am now, I would have never believed it. And I've tried getting out of glazing before, trying to start a new trade or something, but that just wasn't going to happen. I love glass.
Once you're in glass, dude, I have tried several times to get out of glass.
Yeah, it's what we know. It's what we know is windows. It's hard to get away from it.
There's a lot to unpack in there. First of all, I want to talk about how your cell phone was listening to you, and then it showed you an ad from Dead On Glass.
Yeah, that's a little wild. No, so I think actually I think somebody tagged me in the post because he was like, "Hey, hiring all construction guys." I needed work, so I one message created all this.
And then on top of that, I want to emphasize how we spent 5 minutes at the top of the show talking about how social media can attract younger talent to the industry.
And there it is. That's 100% what it did. I looked on his page, I saw what was going on, and I was like, this is not windows. This is something totally different.
So there's a lot of cool stuff in how you found glass and how you get it. But what has kept you? You've tried to leave. What is it that has kept you?
Man, just how pretty a building looks whenever it has all my glass in it. There's something about that sparkle, man. And, I love seeing when we first start laying out a curtain wall, a 3-story by 120-foot curtain wall or whatever it is, we start laying it out to what it looks like at the end. And you stand back and you're like, wow, I did this. That there is not a greater feeling than that. Being proud of your work. I can go down to 85 right now and show you buildings that I have been on, a bunch of them, a bunch of high rises,
Yeah, the partition guy is not driving down the highway.
Right, and they're not saying, hey, yeah, I put a whole bunch of pipe in that one. I did all the windows, all that glass.
Yeah, it's the sexiest part of the building. It's the part of the building that everybody notices when they see a building, yet it is the trade that is the least known. It has become like an absolute victory to me.
And glass, we separate the outside world from the inside world. That is so important. That's why I say anytime I get onto a job, we're high priority. Or that's our job is to close off the building.
Yeah.
And
part of the exterior envelope is not only protecting the habitants, the occupants of the building from the outside elements, but it is also allowing them to, as far as glass goes, to be part of the outside elements, to be part of nature. And everybody likes that. Everybody likes natural light. Everybody likes to see an animal run by. You need glass in buildings. The other thing I wanted to ask you is working this summer. We got record heat everywhere.
Brother, I thought I was going to die earlier today. It was like 98 degrees outside today at lunchtime. I was out there all day in it.
What are you guys doing? What is something that you or that Alpha Glass, what are you doing to combat the heat?
So we had a safety meeting about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, just kind of staying fresh over heat warnings, just heat issues, heat sickness, looking out for signs of heat stroke. Just staying hydrated, man. We get a cooler of water every morning. We go to the store, we get a whole case of water, ice. We're staying hydrated, and it depends if I'm on my buddy Nick Strickland, he puts a big umbrella on his swing stage or lift to keep working in the shade, and that's just a smart idea because that sun is brutal. And you just gotta look out. You just gotta look out for your fellow guy. If we're on a job together, I'm looking after you. You need to look after me. Because it can kill you. Just the heat, the glass can kill you too.
Yeah. Being aware, being hydrated, I think it's super important. There's the reason I ask is I've done a couple clips lately about there's some like tech devices that people are trying to use that monitor your health while you're out in the heat. I haven't met anyone that's using them, but seems like it might be useful. Or, it looks like you're in a smartwatch that might have stuff on it, right?
Yeah, I have an Apple Watch. It monitors like my step calories, how much I burn, how many miles I walk, nothing about, if you're too hot or dehydrated. That might be patented by John Spielman. That could have been.
No, I did a clip. Shit, I forget what the company was called. It doesn't matter. You can see it if you want to. It's on one of our pages. Martin, one more thing I wanted to ask you. Where do you want to be in 5 years?
Still putting glass in buildings, or whether it's residential, commercial. I do best of both worlds. One thing about it, in 5 years, if I'm not in the ground, I'm putting windows in and glass somewhere. I would like to have my own company, but realistically, I want to get trained up, learn as much as I can under somebody else's clock, get paid to learn and see where we're at. I'd love to take some business courses and, I'd love to take some business classes and, maybe if that day is nice enough and lets me do my glass class, it gives me a little discount or something. I can take all those.
Well, I know he listens to these, so he can chime in on that one.
But I mean, realistically, that's.
I know that in 5 years you're going to be doing something good, because I can tell, the communication we've had prior to this show, and then asking to be on the show. I think the combination of that stuff, I think you'll do well for yourself, man.
Appreciate it.
You have a daughter to do it for.
That's right.
All right, man. So, hey, appreciate your time. You have a great night, all right?
All right, thank you.